Hello. Oh my god. Being a girl sometimes is just like no fun. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Audrey. I make bookish content. And there is always background noise over here. I am a mom of 3. Okay, so my house gets a little busy, so you'll have to excuse the background noise. I don't have a quiet place, and I'm also filming on my phone. So with that being said, if you still want to stick around, thank you, love you, appreciate you. Let's get into the books that I read in September. I read 17 books, okay? 17. I don't know if you guys count DNFs as a book read. Duh, it's still a book. But I don't know if you count it. I'm counting it because 17, and I DNF'd it at like 55 something percent in. So I put in that work. So 16 plus 1 DNF, 17 books. Well, I did read like 6 on my Kindle, and I listened to 1. And then the rest are here in this lovely pile. So grab your drink or whatever. My drink right now is some hot chocolate because it's like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. So we're not getting coffee. I'm also cramping, so my body would be like, girl, what you doing? But I did put it in this cute pumpkin mug because we're getting festive over here, as well as my little orange sweater. I think it's still too hot though. Okay. So I think we're gonna start, especially because I'm drinking this hot chocolate right now. We're gonna start with the Audible that I listened to. And hold on. I'm gonna insert a picture of it right here, but I do need to pull up my Goodreads because I completely forgot the name of it. And that's not to say that it's a bad book, okay? Take my hand. Okay, I did not rate this book. The average rating on Goodreads is about a 4.38. I personally did not rate it. I listened to it on Audible. I will say it's definitely a great story. It is a powerful story. It is about a nurse. It takes place between 2 decades, between like the 70s or something like that. The start of Depo. If you don't know, Depo is a form of birth control. It is an injection. They inject you. And it was a popular method. It still is pretty popular to this day. There are different forms of birth control. You can get the patch, you can get the pill, and you can get Depo. Depo is one of those things where you have to go to your doctor and get the shot. So it focuses on Depo and the side effects. And it focuses specifically on the fact that they're giving this shot to Black women in poor neighborhoods. That's what makes it such a good, powerful story, because Depo is still alive and around today. The reason why I gave this book no rating is simply because I feel like it hits close to home to me. Because I am a medical assistant and I work in women's healthcare. That's all I'm gonna say about my job and what I do. I don't gravitate towards books like that. It's not really what I read. It was still a very good book and I do recommend it, and I am glad that I read it. I do think I might, like, maybe when I'm not in the field anymore, I may do a reread, maybe annotate, highlight it, and then give it a rating. But just for right now, I feel like I couldn't do that. Into the books that I read on my Kindle. I read The Mind F series. I'm not gonna say the name here, just because I guess it's YouTube, and if someone stumbles upon my video, I'm trying not to cuss. So I read the Mind F series. So I read it on my Kindle. So on my Kindle, it's 5 books. But if you buy it on Amazon, like the actual physical book, it's just one big ass book. It's just one big book. And it has all 5 stories in there. And even though I read it on my Kindle, I do want to go back and get it in the big book. And I want to highlight, annotate. I love the story so much. It's a 5-star read for me. The Mind F series is about a FBI agent and a serial killer, and it kind of like challenges you in like what is morally like gray. Like the characters are facing that. The FBI agent is like struggling with what's right, what's wrong. The ending, it was just 5 stars. I can't get enough, but I still think about it so much. I feel like that's why I'm in a little bit of a slump. I don't know what to read because that book just like set the bar. I love that series so much. Like those are the kind of things I read. I love the romances in my book. I used to say I was a romance girly, but I think I'm a subplot romance. Like give me the romance in like anything, in the thrillers and the mysteries and all of it. Give me some romance. I think technically it is a dark romance. So again, with dark romances, check the trigger warning before you read. Good Bad Girl, and that was a 4.25. Was September the best reading month for me? I think so. I had a lot of good reads. So I don't think anything had a really bad rating, honestly. Yeah, Good Bad Girl, Alice Sweeney. It's her newest book. I picked it up on Kindle, and I loved it. At first, it was a little bit slow to get into. It takes place a couple Mother's Days in a row. Well, not like in a row, but it takes place on different Mother's Days. And it follows like 3 characters. And at first, it's a little bit confusing because it follows so many characters. But then when the story comes together and it pieces together, it's mind-blowing. I enjoyed it so much. I did kind of predict one of the twists, but I did not predict the other one. Like Alice Sweeney is slowly becoming an auto-buy-off for me because so far 2 books I read from her, they're hit, and I love it. I do want to read more from her, so I do have a book downloaded on my Kindle from her called Sometimes I Lie. When I'm gonna get to that book, I don't know. But Good Bad Girl by Alice Sweeney, that was a 4.25. It was really, really good. Really, really good. So, this is the book I DNF'd. Dark Matter by Blake. I DNF'd this like 55% through. This story has such good potential. This is a sci-fi, and what happens is Jason, he has a wife, a son, all this. He's like the super smart scientist, and one night he goes and meets up with like an old colleague, and then he doesn't come home, or he comes back to a world that's not his world. He doesn't have his wife, he doesn't have his kid. They are no longer like a part of his life, and he's trying to figure out what happened. It lacked in certain places, like the descriptions, especially the descriptions of women. Like, I struggled to even DNF this because I was asking a lot of people. I was like, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just me, because a lot of people did love this. So it's not a bad book. I feel like it had such good potential, but like the way that it read to me just wasn't like, it just wasn't for me. So no anything if you really did like this. It definitely did have a potential to be such a good book, but just the way that I was reading, and I just found myself not wanting to pick it up. I was picking up other books instead, so I just made the decision to go ahead and DNF it. I did, you know, I really did try to finish this up. Is You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight. This is a YA thriller, and it takes place in camp. And for me, I'm not big on YA. I kind of use, if I do read YA, it's more of like a palate cleanser, kind of like in between reads. This book, the ending, what did I give this? I think I gave this like a 3.75, almost 5, and I think it's simply not almost 5, a 3.75, almost 4. And I think it's just because like the ending was a paranormal element, and I kind of wish there was more of that in the book. It just kind of threw me for a loop, like the ending. I was like, wait, whoa, where did that come from? It's like a thriller camp basically, where they put on shows where they try to like scare you. And so Charity always plays like the final girl on the show, so like everyone's dying left and right in the show. And so they do that, but like a lot of the campers, or like the people who put on the show, are like missing, they're quitting, they're like, bye. And they're like, she's just like, okay, well, now we're short staffed, how are we gonna finish off the rest of the show? And so there's like some interesting twists. I did not even see some of this coming. I'm like reading this and I'm like, okay, where is this going? And then it went that way and I was like, whoa, like what? This was really, really good. I do recommend this. I did love this and I'm really glad I read it. Next, this book right here. I don't even know what I rated this, but you need to go read this. It's called By the Book. And I'm sold. The romance between, okay, I said earlier I'm not a romance girl. JK, I'm a romance girl when it's done right. By the Book. This book here, Izzy and Bo, they're so stinking cute. Like, I need more from this author. I need more of these characters. I just felt completely in love. So Izzy, she's started her career and she's working in a publishing company. Bo is an actor and he's writing his memoir, and so she ends up going to help him finish it because he's struggling to come up with the book basically. So she goes to try to help him figure it out, and then, you know, from there they end up falling in love. So I think about this book constantly. I think I'm gonna have to go on Goodreads and change my rating to like a 5-star, because I think about this book way too much for me to have rated it anything other than a 5-star. Like, now that I think about it, this book was so good. I think about it all the time, and I have a couple books by this author in my Barnes and Noble cart. So like, if you ever see it, my Instagram, my TikTok, or anything like that, and you're working on a new book, send it to your girl, because this right here. Next, we have King of Pride. This is the second book in the King series, and I cannot wait for the third. Let me tell you, this series it's romantic for me. Isabella and Kai, and these characters are so cute. I will say I did rate it less than the first book. First book I think I gave like a 4. This one I think I gave like a 3.75 or like almost a 4, something like that. Simply because like I feel like with the first book there was more like drama. This one there wasn't really, like, they just slowly fell in love. I mean, it was beautiful. They just like there was like little bits and pieces, like, you know, his mom didn't really want her with him, but you know, other than that it just kind of flowed. Like, there wasn't any like real, like, the first book was like a marriage of like a forced marriage, and they ended up falling in love. This book, they, you know, they were friends. So Kai is friends with Dante, Isabella is friends with Vivian, and so then they kind of just were in the same world, and then they ended up just together in love. And so cute. Isabella's a writer, so she's struggling to write her book, and so I feel like I'm relating to Isabella. And right now because like I'm slowly getting back into writing and I'm like struggling, but like she actually has a deadline set by her brother, so I don't have like an actual deadline. I'm just like dipping my Hunger Games trilogy. I'm a little bit sad at myself that I didn't like record like a video of me reading all 3 of these, but I hadn't really been on my YouTube vlogging era. I've been TikToking, so I'm trying to post more here, be consistent on all platforms. So I did read this. This is like a 4-star series. The first one takes place with Candace. So if you haven't seen the books, if you haven't watched the movies or the books, what are you doing? Like, at least watch the movies. I started watching the movies and I just now got to the books, and it's pretty similar. I feel like they did a really good job keeping the book close to the movies. I mean, obviously there were little changes here and there, but this is the Hunger Games. So basically the first book, Candace volunteers as tribute for her sister for the Hunger Games. So basically they take it's a competition between the districts to kind of remind them not to revolt, or this is kind of what happens. So it's basically punishment. And so then the whole capital, the rich people, watch as the poor get at it. So I think it was really good. The second book happens after Hunger Games, so I guess it's kind of spoiler if you haven't seen the movies or read the book. But this happens after, and Candace wins with Peeta. So basically Peeta and Gale are like her love interest in the book. And so the second one takes place after she ends up winning. All this time, I still cry during Rue's death. Like, when I was reading the book, when I watched the movies, it gets me every single time. Like, it gives me every single time. I rated this one the highest. I think this was like a 4.25, almost. I think this was like a 5. This was like a 5 because that made me cry, and I was like, this is really good. This takes place where they're thrown back into the Hunger Games, okay? Even though, you know, when you win, you're supposed to not ever have to go back in there. But of course, with President Snow being President Snow, and Candace now becoming like this symbol for the revolution and for them to revolt, overthrow the government and get rid of the Hunger Games, he wasn't having that, so he put them back in there. But guess what? They revolted anyway. And then the third book takes place, and this is what ends the Hunger Games, basically. And then Candace and Peeta end up living a happy life. So sorry if you didn't want that spoiler, but Candace does end up with Peeta, and they end up having children and a happy life, and that ends the Hunger Games, so there's no more. And she still has nightmares and terrors and things like that, because duh, you got thrown into an arena and had to kill people. Who wouldn't have nightmares and be scared that it might happen again, even though it ended? So this is a 4-star series. The first book I love so much. The last book, yeah, I think this is like the perfect order. A 4.25. I think it was like a 4. And this was like a 3.75. So overall 4 stars. This was really, really good, and this just brings me back to my childhood. So I'm surprised I didn't read it when I was younger, because I love dystopian like books, like Divergent. I ate that up, and the movies did not do the book justice. Let me tell you that. Like, the movies were, man. The books, if you watch the movies and you haven't read the books of Divergent, go read the books and tell me the books were not better, because not give what had to been given, you know? Okay, this one, this was my most hyped book. I pre-ordered it. I was so ready for this book, right? And that's not to say I hated it. That's not to say I hated it at all. I still love this. This book, Things We Left Behind, it's part of a series. It's a 3-series, but it can still act as a standalone. So if you want to just read one, you could read one. I don't recommend just reading one. I recommend reading it all as a series because the characters intertwine. So they're all in each book, and so they do little recaps. So like if you were reading this and you were like, well, who's Naomi? They do tell you, you know, she does tell you who they are, but I just feel like it's good if you read the whole series. The first book still is number 1. Then this, I think I gave this a 3.75. The second book, I put that in 3rd. It was still a good book, but in order, it's the first book, the second book, and then the third. No, it's the first, the third, and then the second. In the order that I rank them, the order that I like them. So this is still, I mean, 3.75 is still a good rating. Like, I still loved it. I still enjoyed it. I still took my time reading it. I loved the learning the backstory of Sloane and Lucian. It was just underwhelming because I was so hyped for this book. I waited so long for this book. I pre-ordered it, and then I saw everybody else just picking it up at Barnes & Noble, and I still didn't have it. I finally got it, dropped everything, started reading it, still loved it. It was just underwhelming. I just expected a little bit more. It just felt like the chemistry between Sloane and Lucian, like it couldn't, like they're supposed to be childhood like lovers. They have like all this history, all this like backstory, and it just felt very flat, very physical. And you know, I'm all for smut in a book. I'm all for good spice, okay? But I just kind of expected their relationship to be the more like organic, I guess, because they've known each other for so long. I just kind of expected it to be like a little bit better, like for them to have more feelings towards each other, and it just felt more like physical. Like, I guess I don't know how else to describe it except for it just felt more like they were just physical. They were just on top of each other, and you know, I'm all for spice. I just expected a little bit more. Next, I have Truly Devious. This is a YA mystery. I think I gave this just a 3. What happened in this book? I don't know. Like, it was a cute YA mystery. So Stevie is a girl, and she goes to this academy specifically to solve the murder. So what happened is, like, years ago, the owner, his daughter died and his wife died too. So Stevie's trying to solve the murder. She's confident, like she's 100% confident that she is the one who's going to solve it, and that's why she came to the school, because she's just so passionate about crime, and she just knows that she is going to be like a detective, like she's going to solve all these cases when she gets older. So like her first step was getting into the school so that she could do this. But I just feel like it felt a little flat. Last book I read was Harry Soto is Back. This book, what did I give this? I think I gave this like a 3.75. Oh no, I think I gave it 4. I can't. Like, you gotta go to Goodreads, and even Goodreads, I think I have to go back on some of these and change my ratings because I don't even know. Like, now that I think on it, like, this is the problem with the rating. Is like sometimes you just need to sit and think on it and then rate instead of rating immediately after. And I think some of these books I've rated immediately after, and now that I'm going and doing a video, I'm like, wait, no, I actually like love this, so the ratings should be higher. So I think this is like a 4. I eat up anything that she writes. She is such a good writer. Like, her stories are so good. I think her stories they're basically like historical fiction too, but they err on more of the fiction side, obviously, because Carrie Solo is not real. She's not a real person at all. But it takes place like back in the day. So Carrie's she is a tennis player, and she's coming back out of retirement to defend her title. And yeah, you learn a lot about tennis. I did used to play tennis like with my mom, but like it was never intense. Like, I didn't know like the names of stuff. Like, I didn't know what a love was. When I heard about this book and they were like, oh, this is a book and she's a tennis player, I was like, okay, like, no, I'm not reading that. I probably wouldn't like it. But like the way that she wrote it, you actually do learn a lot about tennis, and you just has yourself asking, like, is she real? Is this a real person? Like, the same thing with the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Like, that book, I was convinced that was a real person. So I really do love her books. I'm gonna pick up more from her as well. She's definitely gonna become an author for me too, because this was insane. I still am like, how is she not a real person? For all the books that I read in September, 17 books. That was a good month. That was such a good month. Oh, I'm so excited. So I can't wait to see what I read for October and November, to come back here and share with you guys what I read, what I thought. So with that, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you guys next video. Thank you. Bye.